What's up guys, welcome to Build Fix, episode number 27, my series where I do my best to help people choose the parts to build their new computer with an emphasis on the do my best part. Because if you guys aren't aware, there is a PC hardware shortage going on right now, and the upshot is that if you were to build a system about a year ago, 9 months to a year ago, you'd probably spend about $200 on your memory and your storage, a 32 gig DDR5 kit and a 2 terabyte or so SSD. Those prices have gone way up due to AI demand, and basically you're gonna have to pay about $600 for those same two components. That adds about $400 to the base cost of typical builds that I would recommend, which is why this series has pivoted slightly to focus a bit more on upgrades and making more use out of these systems that you already have, especially if you can carry over DDR4 memory, for example. And then for those who have no choice and need to upgrade or perhaps replace a component that's failed, choosing the best from what is available on the marketplace. This series is proudly sponsored by PCPartPicker.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by the Paul's Hardware store on paulshardware.net, the only official source for Paul's Hardware merchandise, tantalizing t-shirts, brilliant beer sets, high-quality hoodies, and more, all featuring the classic thumbscrew for tasteful and refined viewers, or the 8-bit thumbscrew for tasteful and refined viewers who hate curves. New designs are added sporadically and at random, so head over to paulshardware.net and get some of that sweet, sweet merch right now. Or not right now, after you watch the video. Either way. Yes, PC Part Picker is where we'll be assembling the builds today, but first, I always start out with a poll. If you go over to the posts section on my YouTube channel, or if you just subscribe, you should see these when they pop up. If you couldn't tell, I was going with a bit of a circus theme for this month's poll, and it looks like the winner is the clown. Send in the clowns. That just seems to be kind of a running theme for 2026. Coming in second was roller coasters, which are obviously among the most popular in terms of circus or I guess theme park activities. Unfortunately, I don't have a clown mask or general clown attire that I could pop on since clown was the winner, although I did hear in a Gamers Nexus video that I do balloon twisting from time to time. I guess I should keep note as I'm doing these polls what I might perhaps be signing up for. But a big thank you to all of you who posted some replies in the comment section down below. I do wish I could reply to everyone, but I did pick a couple nice ones for this month. Starting with Dagun0528, which is Gonzo, I believe, Gonzo Plays, who was also kind enough to provide a PC Part Picker list. Gonzo has an 8+ year old system with a Core i7-8700K and all the other components you see here, a GTX 1080 for the graphics card. And like many people with systems that are getting to be 8 or 10 years old and starting to show their age more, Gonzo would like to upgrade, but the system they want to upgrade to is looking about $4,655 right now. But alright, current build can still play anything at 1440p, graphics settings need to come down with certain titles. The ideal situation would be a current tier upgrade to something like a 9950X3D, RTX 5080, 64 gigs, and more NVMe. But the biggest issue right now is storage, because all the storage is full and that causes file transfer times to get slower. Also, if you don't know, when drives start to get to about 85-90% capacity, especially with SSDs that use part of their capacity as like an SLC cache, those drives will start to slow down fairly significantly. So keeping your drives from being close to full is actually something that can help speed them up a little bit. Other than gaming, main productivity tasks are Adobe Suites, CAD, and music. So the core question is, should Gonzo upgrade right now to a $4,500 to $5,000 system with a Core Ultra 9 285K and something like a Z890 Hero? Or wait? And my short answer for the time being is I think you should wait for multiple reasons. For one, you're spending about $1,000 just on your CPU and motherboard here for what is essentially a dead-end socket. There aren't going to be any new CPUs for LGA 1851, so memory and SSD pricing aside, I would just say waiting till later this year when Nova Lake launches is probably going to be worth your while. And I also do not think it's worth it right now to be dropping like $900 on a 64 gig DDR5 kit, or especially $640 on a 4 terabyte NVMe SSD. That said, I greatly appreciate that you've included both your new build and your old build on your link, because I do not think your current build is completely unupgradable. And in particular, the fact that you have 32 gigs of DDR4 memory means that you have compatibility with the AM4 platform. Even though that's AMD's last gen platform, and I just poo-pooed your Intel build for it not having an upgrade path, I feel like taking advantage of not having to buy new memory, and the fact that CPUs like the 5700X3D and 5800X3D are going to be way, way better than the 8700K in terms of gaming performance, as well as productivity. I think the 5800X3D is roughly twice as fast as the 8700K for productivity tasks, depending what you're doing, of course. So I'm going to edit this parts list and see if we can give you an AM4 upgrade path, something to give you better performance for now while you wait for pricing to settle down with DDR5 and next gen stuff. So to get started, I've just removed everything that we're not going to carry over if we were going to upgrade this build to AM4. Basically, I've kept all of your storage drives, your graphics card for now, although this is potentially something you could upgrade. And we're going to start out with the CPU. Just looking at AM4 compatible CPUs right now, this is going to be the biggest dilemma for you because we actually don't have wide availability of the AM4 X3D processors. The 5800X3D would be the best upgrade option that is currently out of stock. And in fact, if we look at all the AM4 X3D processors, we can see that PCPartPicker has no listings for any of them. That doesn't mean that they're impossible to find. If you have access to a micro center, I highly recommend checking them out to see if you can get a 5600X3D or a 5500X3D. However, that would not be as much of an upgrade on the raw CPU horsepower side of things. So I would say aim for a 5700X3D or a 5800X3D if possible. One option is the 5800X3D relaunching with the 10th anniversary edition. That was rumored about a month back. We still haven't heard any updates as far as when it's launching, how much it's going to cost, whether it's going to be at all reasonable or if it's just going to be one of those limited run specialty items that isn't very practical. Your follow-up options are getting a 5700X3D from a store like Newegg. This is being sold by a third-party seller, Speed Electronics, and it's currently listed for about $315, which is not a great price for the 5700X3D. If these were more widely available, they would be selling for $200 or less. And you can find that price over on AliExpress, which theoretically has these listed for about $176. However, ship times are pretty extensive and it's an AliExpress seller, which means your mileage may vary in terms of them actually sending you the right product. This one theoretically has 281 sold with 4.7 star feedback. So if you're looking at all those options and thinking like none of those seem very appealing, Paul, I completely agree with you, and I would say fall back on the backup plan of just not upgrading for now and waiting till a little bit later this year. Just to move things along though, I'm going to manually enter a price of $200, which hopefully you could locate a 5700X3D for. And from there, we'll just need to finish out with a few more components. Because PCPartPicker's compatibility filter is on, it is only showing me AM4 motherboards that will also fit in your case. And I would say opt for a B550 chipset motherboard because that's where you're going to get the most compatibility, the most functionality. Basically a newer board that's probably going to have more features. We'll also go with ATX motherboards since your case supports that. And here's a great reason why AM4 is sort of seeing a resurgence right now. Not only is DDR4 memory less expensive, or there are more people who have DDR4 memory already on hand, but there's a pretty good range of solid motherboards down in the $80 to $100, $120 range. I'm gonna go with the Gigabyte B550 Eagle Wi-Fi 6. It is a solid all-around motherboard, includes Wi-Fi, it's only $110. And honestly, we could just leave it there. You could upgrade those two core components, $310 or so. That's going to get you more performance out of your GTX 1080. The Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo is AM4 compatible. Depending when you bought this, if you bought it a really long time ago, it might not have AM4 mounting, but even if it doesn't, you should be able to contact Cooler Master and they'll send you a kit for that. The other potential upgrade options though would be upgrading your graphics card. If you don't already watch it, check out my Price Watch series. I posted one last week where I cover the best prices for GPUs, memory, and SSD on the market right now. The prices are not great. All the GPUs are marked up, but it's generally about 5 to 30% markups versus memory and SSDs, which are a lot worse. But something like an RX 9060 XT 16 gig would be a very solid upgrade from your 1080 for about $450. If you want to go a step up from there, the RTX 5070 12 gig is about $630. Unfortunately, anything above that from NVIDIA on the 50 series at least, you're going to have to pay close to $1,000 or more. And then since you mentioned storage being a bit of a tight spot for you, adding an M.2 NVMe SSD would be a good upgrade for you as well, although there you're going to have to pay quite a bit of money. The least expensive 2 terabyte options are in the $240 to $250 range right now, and that's for not necessarily the fastest drive out there. And then even 1 terabyte drives, there was a $120 model that I recommended last week. That's not there anymore. But if you go over to PCPartPicker, just choose NVMe, so you're only looking at NVMe drives, sort by price per gigabyte, and you can see the best price per gigabyte is going to be your 4 terabyte drives, but those cost all $450-ish or more. So yeah, you're looking at probably $240-ish for a 2 terabyte drive, or cheapest 1 terabyte drives right now are listed about $133 or so. But okay, the next build is from George Jones 5019. This one is a little bit more open-ended, but it actually aligned with a build that I am about to do. I don't always build the builds that I recommend in Build Fix, so I thought this was a nice change of pace. But George Jones is looking to do a build for gaming and content creation, video editing, same here. Would like an ITX build, as would we, because I'm building it to be portable. This is for a desk or living room setup, looking at about a $3,000 budget and something like an Intel Ultra CPU and an RTX 5080. All right, so I'm gonna quickly run down the parts that I'm planning to use in the build, and I'll point out places where you might wanna use something slightly different. We're gonna be building in the TR100 case from Thermaltake. I actually did a TR100 build 2 CESs ago. They've updated this with the wood series, so now they have them with the wood paneling on the front. It's an aesthetic touch, but we're actually gonna be building in the black version of this case. PCPartPicker doesn't have the wood series listed yet, so we'll go with the standard black. This will dial in the compatibility filter though, so we know that the other parts we choose are gonna be compatible. I'm gonna spec this out with higher end parts first, and then we'll see if we're sticking within your $3,000 budget. I'm gonna go with an AM5 build for now because it does have the upgrade path. That's why I'm not doing a lot of LGA 1851 builds right now, although that will change, I think, once Nova Lake launches. If you're building a system for gaming, you should absolutely go for an X3D CPU from AMD. And on socket AM5, there are quite a few options for that, which is cool. If you're looking for bang for your buck, the 7800 X3D at less than $400 is a solid choice. That said, the 9800 X3D, which is the best CPU for gaming, with the slight exception of the 9850 X3D, is at a $420, but you said you want to do video editing as well. So if you want to do a workstation crossover build, going with more cores and more threads is a good choice. You can get more cores with the 9900 X3D, that's a 12 core for $550, although the gaming performance is going to be slightly less than the single die options. Of course, if you want the best all around, go with the 9950 X3D. Don't bother with the 9950 X3D2 because it doesn't help in very many areas and it's several $100s more. I'm actually going to be building with the 9950X non-3D because our focus is going to be video editing. That said, regardless of what CPU you choose, you're gonna need a cooler. Since we're gonna be taking our build on a trip to Taiwan for Computex, I'm going with an all-in-one liquid cooler. These travel better for shipping purposes than big air coolers. They can cost a little bit more, but actually if you wanna go with one of these Thermalright options, they've got good choices down in the like $45 to $50 range. So I'm gonna go with one of those. The downside to Thermalright's coolers is they have way too many models, so it's hard to kind of tell the difference between them. I'm gonna assume that the Aqua Elite V4 is slightly better than the Aqua Elite V3, so for $1 more, we'll go with that one. Or there's the Frozen Edge if we want to keep things classy and not have as much RGB everywhere. I'm going to do that. I want to make this one a little bit more subtle. The cooler that I'm actually going to be using is a Thermaltake one because they're sending it over along with the cooler. But next we're going to choose a motherboard. And again, since we're building a video editing PC, storage is very important. So more M.2 slots is a good thing. The other thing you might notice is if we're looking at a mini ITX build and we're looking at AM5, there's actually not a whole lot of choice there. We have 19 compatible products listed. Some of them aren't even available or in stock. I don't want to go with one of the cut down chipsets because we want more compatibility if possible. So B650, B650E, B850, and X870 are the ones we want to choose from. We got some good B850 options up here, but the one thing I noticed when I was looking at this earlier is M.2 slots. Mini ITX motherboards aren't always known for having a lot. Typically they'll have two, often one in the front and one in the back. But if we want more than two, there's only one choice, and it's the Gigabyte B650i Aorus Ultra. If you're actually seriously considering doing this build, look at those other motherboards if you don't absolutely need 3 M.2 slots. But while a couple of them are sort of awkwardly positioned underneath this cooling unit right here, and it has a sort of an odd daughter board for some of the I/O, I'm willing to accept that for the storage expandability options. And it's $180, which is a little bit cheaper than some of the other 800 series choices. Just a few more parts to drop in. Power supply, it needs to be SFX to fit in this case. For the wattage for your power supply, look at the graphics card you're using and go with its recommended wattage, or possibly increase that by 50 to 100 watts or so if you know you're adding more components into the build. The other thing to keep an eye out for would be a native 12V2x6 connector if you're going with an RTX 50 series graphics card in particular. The Lian Li model is looking pretty nice to me right now, so I'll go with the 850 watt version of that just to give us a little bit more headroom for the GPU, and that's only $10 more than the 750. So right now we're at about $1,130-ish for the build, but you might have noticed I saved the worst components for last. Let's do video card. You mentioned an RTX 5080, so to keep things simple, we'll go with the least expensive, physically compatible option there, which is the PNY OC for $1,260 at the moment. And hey, that leaves us with about $600 left for our memory and our storage, which earlier in this video I mentioned memory and storage now costs about $600 when it should cost about $200. Now, what you probably will want if you're doing video editing is a higher capacity RAM kit that's 64 gigs or above. That's gonna cost you $700 or more right now, which is a tough pill to swallow. So if you can get by with a 32 gig kit, you can pay relatively less money. So right now I'm just looking at DDR5 5600 kits, 32 gigs, And PCPartPicker has this first word latency category here that's sort of ignoring the DDR5 speed and the cast latency, or put differently, sort of combining those together to give you the latency, and lower latency is better. 10 nanoseconds is about the sweet spot that we should be able to hit if you have a DDR5 6000 kit with cast latency 30 or 32 or better. So the question now is it worth paying $370 for this kit versus about $320 for this Crucial Pro kit? And this is really one of those crushing dilemmas that comes up as you're trying to choose PC parts. Like, is it worth that $50 for that little bit faster memory or not? And I'm gonna make my decision based on something kind of silly and arbitrary, which is that this Crucial Pro kit does not have RGB lighting. And I said earlier, let's try to keep things classy and not do a bunch of RGB. If it was black and matched, it would be even nicer, but sort of in a nod to the build I'm actually going to be doing, which is gonna be mostly black. The memory kit that I have that I want to use is a 96 gig kit that is white, so I'm also going to have sort of a standout white memory kit in an otherwise mostly black build. Then the last thing we need is storage. So a 2 terabyte NVMe SSD is kind of my starter option here. P400 Lite, King spec. And yes, between these options for roughly within $5 or $10 of each other, I'm gonna go with the P400 Lite because it has a bit better performance than that King spec Gen 3 drive. All right, hey, look at that. Just about $3,000. We have a very solid all-around build. We're a little bit lacking, I would say, on the memory category if you're looking at content creation, video editing, anything that's gonna use more memory. But we're getting by with what we can for right now. The 9950X3D is a really good processor. The rest of the parts are good parts, just not like the greatest prices for them. But the fact that we just ended up right about the price you were looking for tells me that we've done things right here. All right, we have one last question, and this is not a PC upgrade because I'm trying to mix in some alternatives for people who are like, I can't afford an upgrade or a new PC right now, so what are my other choices? But Tanner Marston 4966 says, a chair upgrade. What chair are you currently using and would you recommend it? So this chair was actually unboxed and assembled on in September 2024 during a Mailtime episode, and it is the Fractal Refine. I've said multiple times that Fractal really missed the opportunity to call it the Fractal Recline, but I would say yes, I've been very happy with it. It's very comfortable, nice adjustments throughout. It actually is available in a variety of colors, whether you want mesh or not mesh, and there's sort of a darker finish. In the computer room, I have a Herman Miller Aeron, and that one has the mesh on the back. Since I live in Southern California, and especially in the summer, things can get warm. Having the mesh seats and back on the chair can add a lot more airflow, so that's definitely something worth considering. Looks like the Refine is about $600 over on Amazon, so that is a little bit more expensive. I would say if you're looking for a deal or a lower priced chair that's still a good chair, keep an eye out for like places in your area that have offices that might have closed. They will often sell off old desks and chairs and try to clear them out for low prices. So a solid office chair is definitely the way to go. So a solid office chair, such as like a Herman Miller Aeron or a steel case chair, is definitely worth the investment because it's something that's gonna last you a really long time, and it's something that you use a lot, and especially if you have any back trouble or anything like that, you're definitely gonna appreciate it over time. So my recommendation would be either save up some money so you can invest in a high quality, well-established chair that has lots of reviews, such as a Herman Miller Aeron. The Fractal Refine has gotten very solid reviews over the course of its life since it's launched a couple years ago too. Or look for those office closure sales so you can try to scoop something up for much less money. My Herman Miller Aeron that I bought used. It was supposed to be a refurbished chair. I got two, one for me and one for my editor Joe. Mine does have some quirks, like the armrests don't always sit where they should. Then it will slightly lower over time, so sometimes I notice when I sit down I need to raise it back up to get it to the right height. That said, functionally it's been an excellent chair and I haven't noticed any back pain or anything like that. But that is all the time I have for this episode of Build Fix. Thank you guys very much for stopping by. Links to the parts lists and some individual parts are down in the description below. And also down there is a link to my store at paulshardware.net where you can help support my channel by buying yourself some high quality merch. Thanks to all of you guys for your support. Thank you for watching. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out if you enjoyed it. We'll see you all in the next video.